This is a show for the leaders of tomorrow. You're listening to stories of innovators creating groundbreaking technology and change makers that are shaping the way we live our lives. I'm your host Hussain, and you're joining me while we're peeking into the future. Welcome to the Spark Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Spark Podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us. He is an individual known to spearhead the adoption of electric mobility in India. He is a visionary and an icon, and he's here not just to make the biggest impact on the Indian automobile industry, but also to play a key role in the global adoption of electric vehicles. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the man himself, the CEO of Mahindra Electric, Mr. Mahesh Babu, to the Spark Podcast.
Hi, thank you. It's a pleasure to be there.
Mr. Babu, having acquired Reva in the year 2010, Mahindra Electric has come a long way. Not only do you have the most diversified electric vehicle portfolio in India, but you also recently crossed a landmark figure of 130 million electric kilometers, which is truly commendable. But speaking of a bigger picture here, what is Mahindra Electric's vision and what are you trying to accomplish?
I think Mahindra's vision on electric mobility is about creating a clean, connected and convenient mobility solution coming out of India, very unique opportunity out of India. We believe electric mobility has a key role to play in bringing down the challenges faced by society in India in terms of pollution, challenges on economic challenges of importing oil, dependence of energy outside India. We have been pioneer in electric space more than a decade now, and we are closely working with various stakeholders, including government. How do we make Indian mobility solution more sustainable, and how do we take the Indian solution to the globe and see what does it fit in? I think that will be a great thing for us.
You speak of your vision itself with a great amount of self-belief, but tell us, as Mr. Mahesh Babu himself, what has been your most challenging endeavor?
If you ask me, my most challenging endeavor is to bring in an electrified last mile connectivity in India. If you look at India, India is very unique in mobility. Like we have a lot of two-wheelers and we have a lot of three-wheelers, which is catering to the last mile connectivity. And if you look at three-wheelers, it's most economically viable. Three-wheeler driver is going to earn more money than when he drives the regular fossil fuel autos. So my endeavor is to educate this ecosystem. But if you look at that three-wheeler today, it's clearly knit with the society in terms of economics, city, legislation, and so on. So my endeavor is to convert that last mile connectivity into completely clean and connected solutions with electric mobility.
When you say that this endeavor is one of the most challenging, what would you say is your inspiration?
The electric mobility space in India inspires me a lot because it is not an industry challenge. It is not a society challenge. I think it's a country challenge. It solves a trichotomy of challenges country faces. One is on the pollution, where our cities' urbanization is giving a lot of pollution challenge. EVs will remove the pollution out of the cities. The second one is on the oil import. India depends 85% of oil in import. So it gives energy security to India, because if India in 2030 want to do double the mobility than what it is today, then we can't grow to the same level. 3, I think India's foreign exchange is dependent on the amount of oil import bill we have. So it gives an economic security to the country. So for me, doing an EV is good to the society, country, to me, and for the citizens. So it inspires me a lot to do what I'm doing now.
We've agreed that the challenges that are faced are quite high and the stakes are high, but on the flip side, the results are much better considering the 3 points that you mentioned: pollution, the lower dependency on oil, and the improvement of foreign exchange. However, a lot of companies are actively looking to enter, experiment, and innovate in the electric mobility space. It all comes down to how you position the electric mobility to the final consumer. What is Mahindra Electric's business model and what is being adopted by Mahindra Electric right now?
It's a very good question. See, if you look at our business model, we have moved from an electric vehicle manufacturer to an electric ecosystem creator. So if you look at most of our products today, it is not just the vehicle. We are deep into technology and we are deep into mobility solutions, where we are providing a mobility solution through EVs to a community, to fleet operators by a software platform called Nemo, which removes the entry barrier for any fleet operators to get into the space because we offer it along with the vehicle. So anybody who wants to start a fleet operations can start within 2 days with our electric vehicles and our Nemo platform. By EV, I think EV is itself by technology removes a lot of entry barrier to startup when compared to one. So our huge in-depth knowledge of 130 million kilometers in India, we have a very safe, unique learning about Indian conditions of temperatures, terrain, which we can offer to our customers who can experience it. So we have a field knowledge, we have a platform knowledge, we have a technology domain knowledge of EV, which is, I believe, is a unique business model, what we offer to our customers.
However, when we look at cars like the Vito, they're also cars that could work individually on the roads. How and where does Mahindra position itself, or Mahindra Electric position itself when the competition rises within the electric mobility space?
So if you look at our initial focus, while we focus on the fleet, because most of the fleet are the target market for EV right now in India, we are also planning to sell our technology like drivetrains and powertrains to SsangYong, who is our own group company. By that, we are trying to position as a technology player in EV space to the global market. So we are even talking with few other global OEMs to adapt our electric powertrains, including battery, to use our knowledge into electrifying their products. Having said that, so if you look at personal segment, the personal segment reads a longer range technology, which will fast charge and globally acceptable. So India right now is not mature enough to have a large market for personal EV segment, which we believe will come in next few years. By the time Mahindra Electric's technology of EV will be supplied to global players, and when India is ready, we will be easy to launch at any time. So that will be our take on getting prepared ourselves for personal vehicles.
Mm-hmm. So while talking about this, you mentioned yourself getting ready for the global market. And if we were to look at the global electric mobility market, China is at the forefront of it, right? From manufacturing to the policies that China has developed, it's designed to encourage the sales, right, of EV. What is that India can learn from Chinese electric mobility markets?
I think India has a bit of learning, not only from China, I think globally from Europe, US, we have a learning from Japan, but be very specific to China. I think China has taken a very aggressive step on electrification for the past few years. Mm-hmm. And they have linked manufacturing, demand, and government support to industry in a very seamless way to adapt local manufacturing, local demand, and local development. I think that learning should be taken, but India is a very different space. I believe India is a very knowledge-based society, and not only just manufacturing, India should focus on generating IPRs and development out of India. So to add to what China has done on manufacturing, demand, I think India is also doing a lot of things. The Indian government has released a tender for 10,000 cars. A lot of movements have happened specifically on announcing a green number plate, no permits for electric vehicles. Plenty of actions are being taken, but there is a lot of learning to India because it's good to learn from what's happening around the world, including China.
So when you say China has taken a very aggressive step towards adoption of EVs, when you want to enable or allow India to scale and grow as a market, a very prominent role would have to be played by the engineers, the technicians, or the workforce. So how do we fare against the quality of the workforce? Since quite recently, Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors, they called the government's targets unrealistic, and that were concerns that they were raised. And I quote, they would completely derail the auto manufacturing industry of India. It could also risk 4 million jobs. So is this transition something we're preparing for, or are we resisting it more than anything else?
I think for any disruption, there will be a set of people who will embrace it. There will be a set of people who will be cautious. I would not say that we should not be cautious. We should be cautious. But at the same time, you can't delay or avoid something which is very important to be done. Mm-hmm. I believe EV is a very important endeavor to be achieved as a country. And that's the reason government is talking about it. While I also believe that while they talk outside, I think each of them are getting prepared what they need to do on EV as an industry. So if you look at Indian auto industry, while there are a lot of media reports of people who are saying they want it, people who are saying who don't want it. But internally, I strongly believe that every single OEM are preparing themselves how to handle the EV challenge. There may be slight strategy different, but I don't believe anybody is ignoring it because EV has become a main topic on every table, including the breakfast table.
Right. With such huge automobile companies and automobile manufacturing companies that are in India or across the globe, there's always a risk of lobbyists that are trying to resist the disruption. General lobbying techniques with the government to ensure that EVs aren't subsidized or the subsidies are reduced on EVs or the policies are slowed down. What's your opinion on this and how can this slow down the growth or adoption of EVs?
The EV story has gone beyond the lobby now. If you have asked me 2 years back, probably I would have said, yes, lobby makes a big difference. But in the last 2 years, what has happened? The biggest skeptics in Europe have started adopting EV. EV is no more one which can be ignored and can be manipulated by lobbying. We can delay it slightly, but I don't think you can avoid it. It is the need of the hour for the society. We are having challenges of urbanization. If you look at India, India needs mobility for more than 1 billion people. And government today is very, very aware of this. Society is aware of this. And industry is, to my knowledge, I think in India is positive. While there will be challenges, any new things you do, any change management or any new adoption or technology you bring in, you will face such challenges who will question the movement. And they are legitimate questions. We can't ignore it. We need to address it and move forward. And that is the job of pioneers. And that's our job. We will keep doing it.
Let's go back to the point you made earlier about the infrastructure and city planning itself, right? When we speak about a lot of roadblocks or challenges within the Indian market, we can also look at climatic conditions. This sort of reminds me of the event where the Fisker Karma cars, they were burnt in a parking lot because of a flooding situation that happened in New Jersey and a couple places around the United States. You know, with Tier 1 cities like Mumbai, Chennai and Calcutta facing severe waterlogging issues, how will an all-electric India fare out to be?
See, I think the incidence of safety issues will arise out of not being done any international test methods or things like that. I can't comment on what has happened in other one, but I can vouch what we are doing in Mahindra. As Mahindra, we do about 1,200 to 1,500 safety tests before we launch a product. It took almost 3 years to launch a new battery with various testing. Mm-hmm. We have been selling vehicles in almost 10 years and we have not come across any safety incidents in India with our vehicles. I think we need to understand the application very clearly, test it before we launch the product. And that's what Mahindra does. And I strongly believe that we'll continue to do that and to take care of the safety of the customers.
However, not all electric manufacturing or automobile brands do that. When that's the case, the fingers are pointed rather to the electric feasibility, whether electric cars in general are feasible. Don't you think that itself could slow the industry down?
I think where hundreds and thousands of people will come and innovate, the fittest will survive over a period of time. 100 years back, if you took an automobile industry, so many players in various topics. But over a period of time, I think who innovates continuously, consistently and repeatedly only will survive. And since EV is a very nascent stage now, it is very difficult to not allow any startups, and we should allow startups to go and experiment with safety in mind. Having said that, there are safety standards, global safety standards available in Europe, US, and even in India that's applicable. So as long as you pass the safety test done by the regulation, by and large, you will be very close to the safety requirements. Only thing is you have to make sure that you test the vehicle across the country, across the temperatures before you launch it, which is a standard condition. And I'm sure even though there is a startup, they would not like to burn their venture capital investment just by one incident, and they will be pretty careful on what they are doing before they launch.
Despite all the skepticism and uncertainty in the minds of people, there are still a lot of startups, like you mentioned, that want to or wish to capitalize on the opportunity of the EV space. Now, EV in general is perceived to be very capital intensive and R&D oriented. Do you think there are business opportunities for entrepreneurs who want to enter the space with a relatively lower investment?
I think so, because while EV is a technology intense, the mobility is still partner intense. If you look at auto industry, when it started, partnering was not very popular. Today in connected world, partnering is the popularity. So if I am a startup, I want to partner, let's say, I want to start a fleet, and you have a customer in hand, you can always come walk into Mahindra, partner with me. I will give you electric vehicle. I will give you my Nemo platform. Then you can straight away go and start your test, and you can partner with somebody who is doing charging solution. India has a couple of dozens of people who are in charging solution. So he can give you charging solution. Somebody can give you mobility solution. So it's about partnership. And when you do the right partnership and the right business model to earn value to customer and yourself, I think you will be able to do it. And that's where I believe a lot of startups are coming, not only just in creating a EV platform, which is very capital intensive. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of startups in India coming around mobility solution. Who wants to use employee fleet, employee commute for going to office and coming back kind of fleet for various IT companies and BPO companies to who just want to work on fleet management. Many players will help them to create a new business model.
When it comes to electric vehicles, a lot of people have their skepticism based purely upon range anxiety and whether they would be able to meet their daily demands. What is your opinion on what should be focused on first, whether the EV manufacturing is something that we need to really push into the Indian market space, or should we focus on the EV infrastructure, charging stations and fleet management systems, etc., like you're doing?
My opinion is very clear that we'll have to put the vehicles on the road first. Instead of telling story that you need charging and all that. And based on most of the study, it is clearly understood, even where the countries where fast charging is available, less than 20% of the people actually charge in public. And even in that 20%, almost 80% do normal charging, and only fast charging is 20% of that. So most of the time, our personal vehicles are parked either in our office garage or in our home garage. It has enough time to get charged. And with the cities, particularly in India, you are not going to travel 200 miles a day unless it is a weekend or annually twice or thrice a year. So in such case, nowadays you have plenty of self-drive cars. For example, India has a Zoom car. 350 days you are going to drive inside the city, you can drive your electric car. On that 15 days, you can take any vehicle you want from Zoom car and a rental, and you can drive between cities, drive across the country and come back. So I think now the question of charging station available across the country is very, very naive. If you connect new mobility, you don't need charging stations across the country. You need only in cities. It is doable because all electric vehicles are going to be concentrated in the cities. And when you want to go from one city to another, you can always rent a car, take a public transport. You can do whatever you want. Such facilities are available in the modern world of today.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you a question that's on the mind of every EV enthusiast. If you were to choose between a plug-in supercharging station or a battery swapping station, which one would you bet your money on?
I will bet on a supercharging station.
And why is that?
I think intrinsically, when you look at a car and when you look at people who are buying a car, they are buying it with some personal connect to the device. Why would people buy very expensive cars just to park most of the time? Because there is a personal connect in it. And when you say that vehicle battery is not yours, it's not yours, people are not going to connect with it. And why you need supercharging and swapping? For people who are running fleet, not for personal carrier one. Because swapping creates a little bit more discomfort on your ownership, uncertainty than charging, because you need to lease the vehicle. Financing becomes difficult if you are leasing. There are operational difficulties based on swapping. But having said that, I don't want to discount swapping. Mm-hmm. It needs to get mature enough, like supercharger or fast charging, till it comes commercial. Right now, I think it is at a concept stage, demonstration stage. It needs a little bit more work to make sure it matches the customer needs of fast charging. When that is done, I think it both will be equally competitive over a period of time.
Right, so now we've come to the last segment of the podcast, and I want to ask you, we can see the government really push forward adoption of renewable energy, promote the need of a cleaner environment and a sustainable future. Now, which policy of the government has benefited the EV industry in particular?
I think India has plenty of policies, fiscal and non-fiscal. The FAME 2 policy, which is incentivizing purchase of electric vehicles, is one which is spearheading the demand creation. Second, I think a lot of non-fiscal incentives like green number plates, no permits needed. Anybody can put in fast chargers across the country and it is privatized. A lot of policy measures have been done both at the Indian central government level as well as state government level. If you look at almost 5 states in India, they have come up with special EV policies to give over and above incentives for demand than the central government is giving. And they have also come up with the adoption of EV in their government offices. So there are plenty of action done, and there is a kind of competition going on in India between states whose EV policy is better than the other, because all of them are realizing that EV is a new technology, and any manufacturing growth in auto industry further will come from EV technology. And hence most of the states are focusing on improving their offerings to EV investment.
Right, as you said, a lot of these states have competition amongst themselves to see who can do it better. What is one advice that you would like to share with the policymakers of our country?
I think in India, it's very simple for the policymakers. Whatever policy you make, if you make sure it is implemented quickly, I think that is the best thing can happen. To me, in India, till now, whatever policy has been written is sufficient enough to spearhead adoption. But we'll have to make sure that the implementation happens fast. If that happens, I think we are there.
Right, Mr. Babu, now coming to the end of the podcast, what is one myth about electric vehicles that you can debunk for us today?
What I can say is people have talked about range, people have talked about many things. I think you talked about electric vehicle, if it is dipped into water, will get into flames. Actually, it is not true. There are tests which we do that you put the complete electric vehicle into water. If you put our Mahindra vehicles, which is tested and certified by us, into water, you can revive it faster than the IC engine. It's a myth that it is unsafe, which is not true.
And Mr. Babu, what is one advice you would share for the individuals, the entrepreneurs and engineers that are aspiring to explore the fields?
It will not be advice, it will be an invite, I would say. EV industry is in a very, very initial stages of innovation. It gives a tremendous opportunity for youngsters to come and explore the innovation, what's happening in EV industry. And many of them say that the battery technology has matured, but I strongly believe it is just a start. Like auto industry, which has gone through a century of innovation, EV industry is just starting, and it's, I would say, 2 decades old, and it's going to have plenty of opportunity in data science, power electronics, embedded software, and it's also an amalgamation of many technologies at one place. I think it creates a huge opportunity, and let's welcome and join the EV revolution.
And you heard that from the man himself, Mr. Mahesh Babu, the CEO of Mahindra Electric, who's pioneering and spearheading the adoption of electric vehicles across India. Mr. Mahesh has been with Mahindra for over 20 years, and under his leadership, Mahindra Electric is now disrupting the Indian automobile industry and writing its future. Thank you for your time, sir. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for joining us on the Spark Podcast.
Most welcome. It was a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you for listening to the Spark Podcast. You can now learn how to start your own green business and become a certified entrepreneur. Check out our courses designed by industry experts from solar energy to EVs. I'll see you in the next episode of the Spark Podcast. Till then, goodbye.